Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad you're here. Today's topic is something that's been blowing my mind lately: how our consciousness isn't just a vague idea, but something that actually interacts with the quantum world around us.
Oh, right. I remember you mentioned that 2019 study last week, the one where mental shifts made measurable changes to the quantum fields around people's bodies. I still can't wrap my head around it. How is that even possible?
Exactly. That's the question that started me down this rabbit hole. Let me break it down real quick. This research team found that when people intentionally changed their mental state, the electromagnetic fields around their bodies got way more organized, like going from scattered static to a clear, focused signal.
Wait, so it's not just in our heads. Our thoughts actually alter the physical space around us. That feels like something out of a sci-fi movie, not a peer-reviewed study.
I know, it sounds wild, but the data checks out. They used sensors to measure the fields, and the changes were consistent across hundreds of participants. That's what got me thinking about the two types of consciousness they talk about: particle and wave.
Oh, right. Particle versus wave. Can you explain that again? I always mix up which is which.
Sure thing. Particle consciousness is the way most of us live day to day. It's when you're hyper-focused on specific outcomes, linear thinking, like when you're staring at your bank account, stressing about making rent, or scrolling dating apps, checking off a checklist of traits you want in a partner. It's like a laser beam locked onto one tiny point.
Oh, yeah. That's me every time I'm planning a trip. I fixate on the exact flight times and hotel price, and I get so stressed if anything doesn't match my plan. Is that particle consciousness? Exactly.
You're stuck on the specific form of what you want instead of the feeling you're trying to get out of it. Wave consciousness is the opposite. It's when you transcend those specific outcomes and enter this field state. You focus on the feeling of already having what you want without clinging to how it shows up.
So, instead of stressing about the perfect flight, you just focus on the feeling of being relaxed and excited on vacation, and then the universe handles the details? That sounds nice, but doesn't actually work.
That's where the case studies come in. Let me tell you about this financial participant in the study. She was stuck in particle mode, obsessing over making $5,000 by a strict deadline. She was checking her bank account every hour, panicking about bills piling up.
Oh, I've been there. That constant feeling of scarcity is draining. What happened when she switched to wave consciousness?
The researchers guided her to shift her focus. Instead of thinking about needing $5,000, she started practicing feeling like she already had financial freedom. She visualized paying all her bills without stress, treating herself to things she'd been putting off. And get this, her body's electromagnetic field coherence went up 300% after just a few sessions.
300%! That's insane! Did she actually get the money?
She did. 4 days later, she got an unexpected check in the mail from a class action lawsuit she didn't even remember joining. It was exactly the amount she needed to cover all her expenses.
Wow. That's not just a coincidence. Did they have other examples like that?
Oh yeah, there was a woman looking for a relationship. She was using that checklist approach. She wanted someone a specific height, with a certain job, even a particular hair color. She went on date after date, but nothing stuck.
I know so many people who do that. They have this rigid idea of their perfect partner, and they miss out on great connections because of it.
Exactly. The researchers had her switch to wave mode. Instead of listing traits, she focused on the feeling of being deeply loved and supported. She practiced that feeling every day until it felt natural. A week later, she met someone who didn't match any of her checklist criteria, but he made her feel exactly the way she'd been practicing. They're still together now.
That's so powerful. So it's not about getting exactly what you think you want, but getting what you actually need to feel the way you want to feel.
Precisely. And the science behind it has to do with probability wave collapse. The idea is that all possible outcomes exist as waves of probability, and our consciousness is constantly collapsing those waves into the reality we experience.
Wait, so every thought we have is choosing one possible reality over another? But why do so many of us end up with things we don't want then?
Because most of us are doing it from an incoherent state. We are simultaneously thinking, I want more money, and I'll never be able to pay my bills. Those conflicting signals create a scattered field, and the quantum world doesn't know which outcome to collapse into.
Oh, right. That makes sense. So if you're sending mixed messages, you get mixed results. But what happens when you're in a coherent state, like wave consciousness?
That's when you start seeing real, consistent results. The study also looked at group effects. They had 8 people practice wave consciousness together, all focusing on the feeling of unexpected income. Within 2 weeks, every single one of them received unexpected money, and the amounts were mathematically correlated. Like, they weren't random numbers. They all aligned in a way that couldn't be explained by chance.
That's wild. So group consciousness can actually amplify these effects.
Exactly. When multiple people are sending the same coherent feeling signal, their fields entangled. It creates this synergistic effect that makes the probability collapse more likely. It's like when you have a group of people all cheering for the same team, their collective energy amplifies the outcome.
I've noticed that in meditation groups, when everyone's focused on the same intention, there's this tangible shift in the room. I always feel more peaceful after those sessions.
That's exactly it. And it's not just affecting our own bodies. They did experiments with random number generators too. When people entered wave consciousness, the generators produced more ordered, non-random sequences. So our coherent consciousness can actually affect quantum systems in the environment around us.
So we're not just passive observers of reality, we're active participants in creating it. That changes everything. But how do we actually switch from particle to wave consciousness? It sounds easy, but I feel like I'm stuck in particle mode most of the time.
The key is that it's not about force or effort. You can't just try harder to be in wave mode. It's about what they call somatic entry. You have to enter the feeling signal of the reality you want. Think of it like an actor preparing for a role. They don't just memorize lines, they find the feeling of the character until it becomes natural.
Oh, right, like method acting. So instead of telling myself I need to be more confident, I should practice feeling confident in my body.
Exactly. You have to embody the feeling. It's not about thinking positive thoughts, it's about feeling positive emotions. Because thoughts are just words, but feelings are the language the quantum field understands.
That makes sense. I've always struggled with positive affirmations because they felt fake. But if I focus on the feeling instead, maybe it would stick better.
That's the thing. When you're in particle consciousness, you're creating quantum resistance. You're grasping at outcomes, feeling urgent, and that resistance pushes what you want away. Wave consciousness is about quantum flow. You're in a coherent field, and that field attracts coherent results. It's like a magnet. When you're aligned, things just start coming to you.
So the less you chase something, the more you attract it. That's the paradox they talk about, right?
Exactly. The study breaks down 5 levels of wave consciousness mastery. The first level is just becoming aware that you're in particle mode most of the time. The second is learning to shift into wave mode intentionally. The third is sustaining that state for longer periods. The fourth is being able to switch instantly, no matter what's happening around you. And the fifth is living in wave mood as your default state.
That sounds like a journey, not something you can master overnight. What happens when you practice consistently?
After 3 weeks of daily practice, they found real physical changes. Participants had increased heart rate variability, which is a sign of better emotional regulation. Their brain waves shifted from beta, the stressed, thinking mode, to alpha and theta, which are the relaxed, creative states, and their electromagnetic fields became more coherent and organized.
So it's not just a mental shift, it's a physical shift too. That's amazing. I always thought of consciousness as something separate from the body, but this research shows they're deeply connected.
Exactly. Our thoughts and feelings shape our physiology, and our physiology shapes our thoughts and feelings. It's a feedback loop. When you practice wave consciousness, you're rewiring your neural pathways. You're creating new habits of thinking and feeling that become automatic over time.
So the more you do it, the easier it gets?
Exactly. And the ultimate goal isn't just personal transformation, it's a collective shift. If enough people switch to wave consciousness as their default state, it could actually affect the Earth's quantum field. Imagine a world where most people are sending coherent, positive feeling signals. It could shift the entire planet's trajectory.
That's a big vision, but it feels possible. So what's the takeaway for our listeners today?
The main thing is that reality is more plastic than we're taught. Every moment is an opportunity to switch our consciousness. We're not stuck with the reality we have. We can create the reality we want by shifting our focus from the form to the feeling.
And it's not about being perfect. You don't have to be in wave consciousness 24/7. It's just about noticing when you're in particle mode and gently shifting back to the feeling you want to experience.
Exactly. It's a practice, not a destination. So I challenge all of you listening to try it this week. Pick one area of your life where you're stuck in particle mode. Maybe it's your finances, your relationships, or your career. Instead of focusing on the specific outcome you want, focus on the feeling of already having it. See what happens.
I'm definitely going to try that. I've been stressing about a work project, and instead of fixating on the deadline, I'll focus on the feeling of having it done and being proud of the result. That's a great start. And remember, you're not alone in this. Every time you shift into wave consciousness, you're contributing to that collective field. You're helping to create a more coherent, positive reality for everyone. That's such an empowering way to think about it. So thanks for breaking this down for us today. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how my consciousness affects my life.
Anytime. I'm glad we could talk about this. If you try the exercise this week, I'd love to hear how it goes. Drop us a message on social media and let us know your experience.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with more mind-blowing topics.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great week and keep practicing that wave consciousness.